Did she steal the green gown she was provided with for a magazine photo shoot?
You guys won't believe what just landed in my inbox this morning.
Meghan Markle did take the dress.
Meghan Markle is being accused of stealing a dress.
Because there's been some controversy over a green dress that Meghan Markle put on during this trailer of a new series.
Not borrowing, not keeping by accident, stealing, and we're not talking about some random piece from a clearance rack. We're talking about a $1,695 designer gown from a professional magazine photo shoot. The internet is absolutely losing its mind right now, and honestly, I can't look away. Because here's the thing that makes this whole situation so incredibly strange. Meghan insists she didn't steal anything.
Absolutely not, insists the difficult Duchess. Sources explaining that as a royal, she is required to archive the clothes she is seen in.
Her team released this very formal, very defensive statement, basically saying everyone knew about it, everything was contractual, and how dare anyone suggest otherwise. But that response, it's only making people ask more questions. When someone defends themselves that aggressively over a dress, you have to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Let's rewind for a second and talk about who Meghan Markle was supposed to be.
She's admitted it in another PR catastrophe for the Duchess of Delusion.
The American actress who married into the British royal family, the modern Duchess who was going to change everything, the woman who stood on that castle balcony looking like she'd stepped out of a fairy tale. For a brief moment, she represented this perfect bridge between Hollywood glamour and royal tradition. She smiled at the cameras, waved at the crowds, and wore those perfectly tailored coats that made every fashion magazine lose their collective minds. But here's what nobody tells you about fairy tales. They always come with rules. And Meghan, she was never really great at following rules.
So what happens is, it was, as you say, it was a 2022 variety cover shoot. There was this $1,695 green gown. It was all part of apparently of archiving clothes as a royal, because that's what you have to do as a royal.
When she was an official working royal, she couldn't just keep the clothes she wore to events. There were protocols. Everything had to be documented, archived, returned, or properly accounted for. It wasn't like being on a TV show set where you build relationships with wardrobe departments, and sometimes things just casually find their way into your personal closet. This was the British monarchy we're talking about. They've been keeping track of crowns and jewels for literally 1,000 years. You think they're not going to notice a missing dress? But then Meghan and Harry left.
Recollections may vary, but according to some, as soon as the camera stopped clicking, Meghan just walked off with the $1,695 garment, which is around £1,300 in British money. Didn't ask, didn't pay, just took.
They stepped back from royal duties, moved to California, and suddenly those strict property rules didn't apply anymore. She could make her own decisions about what she wore and what she kept. She could build her own brand, create her own image, and yes, apparently keep whatever designer clothes she wanted from photo shoots. And that brings us to the dress. The green dress. The gorgeous off-the-shoulder Galvin number that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Meghan wore it for a Variety magazine cover shoot back in 2022, and it looked absolutely stunning on her.
The insinuation that any items were taken without the full knowledge and agreement of the on-set stylists or their respective teams is not only categorically false, but also highly defamatory.
The photos were everywhere. She looked powerful, polished, expensive, exactly the image she wanted to project as she built her post-royal life. Fast forward to now, and that exact same dress shows up again in the promotional material for her Netflix Christmas special called With Love, Meghan. Same dress, same woman, very different controversy. Because apparently, according to some people who were there that day in 2022, Meghan didn't exactly follow proper protocol when the cameras stopped rolling.
Any items kept were done so in total transparency and in accordance with the contractual arrangements.
You probably think that's the whole story, but it's not even close. Here's where the timeline starts getting interesting. When you do a professional photo shoot for a major magazine like Variety, there's usually a very clear system in place. Designers loan their pieces to the styling team dresses the celebrity, the photos get taken, everything gets documented, and then, this is the important part, everything goes back. The clothes return to the designers, the jewelry goes back to whoever provided it. Maybe the celebrity's team reaches out later to purchase something if they really loved it, but that's a separate transaction with separate paperwork. It's not complicated. This is how the fashion industry has worked forever. But according to the whispers coming out of that variety shoot, that's not exactly what happened with Meghan and the green Galvan dress.
Meghan got the green dress for free, a perk she was denied when she was required to follow the strict probity of British royal rules.
Sources close to the situation, and yes, we all know what that phrase usually means, but stay with me here, claim that when the shoot wrapped, Meghan simply left with the dress. Didn't ask if she could keep it, didn't arrange to purchase it later, didn't send her assistant back with a check, just walked out wearing it or had it packed up with her things, and that was that. Now, if you're thinking that sounds unusual, you're not wrong. In the celebrity styling world, there's usually a lot of communication about who keeps what. Even when celebrities do get to keep pieces from shoots, there's typically emails, confirmations, maybe some social media posts, thanking the designer for the gift. It's all very transparent because everyone involved wants to avoid exactly this kind of mess. But apparently none of that happened here. The dress just vanished into Meghan's closet, and the designer's team was left wondering what happened to their $1,695 gown. Here's what makes this even more complicated.
But hey, now that Mistress Meg makes her own rules, the money she saved can perhaps go towards the upkeep of the $29 million Montecito mansion she shares with her multi-millionaire husband, Harry.
Meghan's spokesperson came out swinging with that statement about how any items kept were done so in total transparency and in accordance with the contractual arrangements. That's a very specific way of phrasing things. Notice they said any items kept, not the dress we properly arranged to keep or the piece we purchased afterward. It's vague enough to sound official while not actually explaining what happened. And that word, defamatory, that's lawyer language. That's the kind of word you use when you're not just defending yourself, you're threatening anyone who keeps talking. But here's the problem with using words like defamatory. It makes people think you've got something to hide. If the situation was really as simple and transparent as Meghan's team claims, why not just show the receipts? Release the contract, show the email chain, prove that everyone agreed she could keep the dress. Instead, we get this formal statement that somehow manages to sound both defensive and vague at the same time.
Meghan is off doing Harper's Bazaar. It seems like she's pitching herself for her own career without him. He has a glimmer of sort of exposure within her new Christmas special, but he wasn't in the second season. So what do we have to say about that? Those were filmed very close together.
The internet, of course, has thoughts, lots of thoughts. Some people are defending Meghan, saying this is just another attempt to tear her down over nothing. Others are pointing out that she wore this same dress to a Netflix promo, which means she's literally using it for commercial purposes now. That's a very different situation than keeping a sentimental piece in your closet. And then there's the whole optics problem. Meghan and Harry live in a $29 million mansion in Montecito. They've signed massive deals with Netflix and Spotify. They're not exactly struggling, so why does she need to keep a dress from a photo shoot without paying for it?
And then this bizarre excuse that she, as a royal, she has to archive everything that she wears. I don't know why that gives you the right to walk off with a $1,700.
Imagine trying that at your job, just walking out with company property and then acting offended when someone asks about it. Remember this detail about the Netflix connection? Because it comes back later in a way nobody expected. This is where things get strange, because this isn't actually the first time questions have been raised about Meghan and borrowed items. When she was a working royal, there were quiet murmurs, never confirmed, always denied, about jewelry that didn't get returned quite as promptly as protocol required.
And what wasn't in that denial was the fact that she clearly did not pay for this dress. She's a multi-millionairess, she keeps telling us. She's lives in a $29 million mansion. Her husband's a multi-millionaire, and she takes a $1,700 dress.
About accessories that seem to disappear from official records. Nothing ever turned into a major scandal because, well, you don't publicly accuse a duchess of the British royal family of taking things without permission. That's not how the palace handles issues. They manage things quietly, behind closed doors, with very polite but very firm conversations about expectations and protocols. But those quiet murmurs, they happened. People who worked in those circles knew. And now that Meghan's out of the royal system entirely, some of those same people are probably feeling a lot less pressure to keep quiet about what they witnessed. Let's talk about what happened after Meghan wore that green dress to the variety shoot in 2022.
Oh, it's all so spontaneously joyful, isn't it? Just like at your bachelor pad in North London. Right?
Exactly, it's very similar lifestyle. But yeah, there she was wearing
similar lifestyle.
There
yeah.
she was wearing a shoplifted dress with probably crackers that she didn't know, allegedly. And crackers. Did she pay for the crackers? They look like posh crackers.
She looked amazing in the photos. Nobody's disputing that. The images went everywhere. Meghan got praised for her style, her confidence, her post-royal glow-up. The dress became associated with her brand, this image of elegant California sophistication she's been building, and maybe that's exactly why she wanted to keep it. In Meghan's world, image is everything. Every appearance is calculated, every outfit tells a story. So a dress that got her that kind of positive attention? Of course she'd want it in her closet for future use. The problem is, wanting something doesn't mean you automatically get to have it. Even celebrities have to follow basic professional courtesies. Even Meghan Markle doesn't just get to declare herself exempt from normal human behavior because she used to be royal. But here's what's really interesting about the timing of all this coming out now. Meghan just launched her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. She's been posting carefully curated content on Instagram showing her perfect life, her perfect home, her perfect family, volunteering at food banks while somehow avoiding showing her kids' faces. She's selling jam for $28 a jar and honey for $22 after a Black Friday discount, because apparently that's a bargain in Meghan's world. She's got this Netflix Christmas special coming out where she's positioning herself as this domestic goddess figure, teaching people how to live better, cook better, be better. And right in the middle of this carefully orchestrated rebrand, Dressgate explodes. Now, every time someone sees a promo for her Netflix show, they're not thinking about Meghan's lifestyle tips. They're thinking about that green dress and whether she stole it. People close to the situation noticed something else too. The way Meghan's team handled the pushback was almost identical to how they've handled every other controversy. Issue a vague statement, use legal language, act offended that anyone would dare question her, never actually provide concrete proof that clears everything up. Social media went absolutely nuclear. One side claiming this is just another example of the media unfairly targeting Meghan for things male celebrities do all the time. The other side pointing out that this has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with taking something that wasn't yours. Fashion industry insiders started weighing in anonymously because nobody wants to publicly cross Meghan Markle and risk getting labeled as part of some conspiracy against her. But privately, there were a lot of eye rolls, a lot of "yeah, we've heard stories" comments, a lot of stylists suddenly feeling very validated that they always insisted on detailed paperwork when working with certain celebrities. This part matters later, because those whispered conversations in the fashion industry, they don't stay whispered forever. Quiet changes started appearing in how some designers and PR firms handled requests from Meghan's team. Suddenly, everything required extra documentation, extra confirmations, extra clarity about what could be kept and what needed to be returned. Nobody expected what happened next. While Dressgate was still dominating headlines, Meghan doubled down on her Instagram presence in the most tone-deaf way possible. She posted a video of herself, Harry, and the kids. Well, the backs of the kids' heads, because we can never actually see Archie and Lilibet's faces, volunteering at a food bank in Los Angeles. The caption, "Show up, do good," the motto of their Archwell Foundation. And look, volunteering at food banks is objectively a good thing to do. Helping people who need food is important. But here's what rubs people the wrong way. Meghan can never just do something nice, quietly. It always has to be documented, posted, promoted, turned into content for her brand. In Meghan's world, charity isn't just about helping people. It's about being seen helping people. It's about crafting this image of herself as this selfless humanitarian while simultaneously selling $28 jars of honey to the masses. The comments section became an absolute war zone. People pointing out the hypocrisy of posting about food insecurity while charging luxury prices for basic groceries. Others defending her right to run a business and also volunteer, some noting that at least she's doing something, which is more than most wealthy people do. But the most cutting observations came from people who remembered all the other times Meghan's charity work seemed suspiciously well photographed. The time she showed up at a women's shelter with a full camera crew, the Archwell Foundation launches that came with professionally produced videos, the way every good deed somehow turned into content for her Instagram page or Netflix productions. There's doing good, and then there's doing good for the cameras, and Meghan has never quite figured out how to do one without the other. Behind closed doors, people who've worked with the Sussexes started sharing stories. Nothing on the record, Nobody wants to get sued, but the pattern was clear. Everything was content. Every interaction was an opportunity for branding. Every charitable act was also a photo opportunity that could be monetized later. Former staff members would talk about how they'd organize genuine community outreach, only to have it turned into a production with specific camera angles, outfit changes, and social media rollouts. And here's the thing that made people uncomfortable. That approach turns real human suffering into props for someone else's brand narrative. Those people at the food bank weren't just community members getting help, they were unwitting extras in the Meghan Markle humanitarian hour. Keep this detail in mind because it connects directly to why the dress controversy struck such a nerve with so many people. Then came the Thanksgiving message to customers of her American Riviera Orchard brand. Meghan posted this cryptic tease about something big coming, and everyone got excited for about 15 minutes. Was she announcing a new Netflix show, a book deal, some major charitable initiative? People were genuinely curious. And then the big reveal happened, 20% off her ridiculously overpriced preserves for Black Friday. That's it. That was the big announcement. Your $28 jar of honey could now be yours for the low, low price of $22. The $28 raspberry jam? Now just $11. Revolutionary. Groundbreaking. Truly, we're living in a blessed era. The mockery was immediate and brutal. Influencers made videos about how out of touch you'd have to be to think a Black Friday sale on luxury jam counted as exciting news. Comedy accounts had a field day with the pricing. Finally, affordable jam for the common millionaire. And through it all, Meghan seemed completely oblivious to how this looked to normal people struggling with actual food insecurity. If that sounds unusual, just wait, because Meghan wasn't done creating content that week. In what can only be described as a masterclass in how not to read the room, she posted an Instagram video showing everyone how she seasons a turkey. Yes, you read that correctly. In the middle of a controversy about allegedly stealing a designer dress and tone-deaf pricing on luxury food products, Meghan decided what the world really needed was a turkey seasoning tutorial. The video showed her in her pristine Montecito kitchen, which probably costs more than most people's houses, confidently handling a raw turkey while wearing multiple rings and bracelets. And this is where the internet collectively lost its mind for an entirely new reason. Food safety experts immediately started pointing out that you should absolutely not wear jewelry while handling raw poultry. It's literally one of the most basic rules of food preparation. Bacteria gets trapped under rings and in bracelet crevices, creating a serious contamination risk. Any professional chef will tell you, jewelry off, hands washed, proper hygiene maintained, but there was Meghan, rings glinting in the perfect lighting of her perfect kitchen, acting like she was teaching the world something groundbreaking while violating fundamental food safety protocols. The comments were merciless. Is there no start to her talents became the mocking refrain. People started posting side-by-side comparisons of actual chefs with bare hands versus Meghan's jeweled turkey handling technique. Cooking shows and food bloggers weighed in with barely concealed frustration about how this kind of content spreads dangerous misinformation to people who might actually follow her example. But here's what made this moment so perfectly symbolic of every Meghan controversy. She clearly thought she was creating inspiring content. In her mind, this was her showing relatability, sharing her domestic goddess skills, connecting with regular people over Thanksgiving traditions. She had no idea, or maybe didn't care, that she was actually demonstrating exactly why so many people find her completely out of touch. Regular people who handle raw turkey take off their rings because they're worried about bacteria and they can't afford to replace expensive jewelry if it gets ruined. Meghan handles raw turkey while wearing what looks like thousands of dollars in jewelry because in her world, those concerns simply don't exist. The gap between how she sees herself and how everyone else sees her has never been more visible than in that turkey video. This is where the timeline stops making sense though, because this all happened within the same week. Dressgate controversy exploding, food, bank Instagram post attracting criticism, Black Friday jam sale falling flat, turkey video going viral for all the wrong reasons. Any normal PR team would have said, maybe let's pause the content for a bit and let things calm down, but not Meghan's team. They kept pushing content, kept posting, kept trying to control the narrative through sheer volume of output, and every new post just created a new controversy. It was like watching someone trying to put out a fire by dumping gasoline on it. The Netflix special was supposed to be Meghan's big lifestyle brand moment. Instead, it became associated with stolen dresses, overpriced jam, and unsafe food handling. That's certainly one way to launch a show. The immediate fallout was swift and unforgiving. Fashion industry insiders who'd previously stayed quiet started speaking out, carefully, anonymously, but decisively. Stylists shared blind items about difficult celebrities who treated loaned clothing like personal property. PR professionals discussed the importance of clear contracts and documentation. Designers started posting about how their businesses work and why every piece has to be tracked. Nobody mentioned Meghan by name, but everybody knew exactly who they were talking about. Meanwhile, Meghan's team went into overdrive trying to control the narrative. That defensive statement about defamatory accusations got circulated to every outlet. Friendly journalists published pieces about how Meghan was being unfairly targeted. Think pieces appeared about the double standards female celebrities face regarding borrowed clothing. But none of it was working, because this wasn't really about a dress anymore. It was about a pattern of behavior that people had been noticing for years, finally reaching a breaking point. The perceived sense of entitlement. The rules that seemed to apply to everyone except her. The way criticism was always met with accusations of persecution rather than accountability. The dress became a symbol of something much larger, this fundamental disconnect between how Meghan sees herself and how her actions actually land with the public. Social media engagement on her posts started shifting. Even her most loyal defenders were getting exhausted trying to explain away each new controversy. Comment sections that used to be filled with supportive messages started seeing more skeptical voices questioning her choices. Netflix reportedly had conversations with Meghan's team about the optics of all this. Here's their talent promoting a Christmas special while embroiled in a controversy about potentially stolen designer clothing. Not exactly the heartwarming holiday content they were hoping for. There were discussions, never confirmed officially but widely reported through industry sources, about whether they needed to address Dressgate in the special itself or just ignore it and hope it blew over. They ultimately chose to ignore it, betting that by the time the special aired, people would have moved on. But that decision meant every interview Meghan did to promote the show became about the dress instead of the content. Reporters would start with questions about her lifestyle brand and cooking tips, then inevitably pivot to asking about the Galvin controversy. And Meghan's responses? Always vague, always defensive, never actually providing the concrete proof that could have ended the whole thing. What emerged from all this was a secondary controversy that nobody saw coming. Other celebrities started getting asked about their experiences with keeping clothes from photo shoots. And here's where things got really interesting. Most of them were very clear about how the process works. If I want to keep something, I ask if I can purchase it or if they're willing to gift it. Everything's documented. My stylist handles all of that communication. We never just take things. I've been gifted pieces before, but there's always a clear conversation and usually a social media post thanking the designer. The contrast with Meghan's situation couldn't have been clearer. Other celebrities were demonstrating exactly how easy it is to handle these situations professionally, which made Meghan's alleged behavior look even worse by comparison. The fact that her team couldn't or wouldn't provide similar documentation raised questions about what really happened that day at the variety shoot. The long-term consequences of Dressgate might not be immediately obvious, but they're absolutely significant for Meghan's career trajectory. Her entire post-royal strategy has been built on positioning herself as this aspirational lifestyle figure. Someone who has impeccable taste, who knows how to do things properly, who can teach regular people how to elevate their lives. But how can you sell yourself as a lifestyle guru when you can't even handle basic professional courtesies? How can you charge premium prices for jam when people are questioning whether you properly pay for the clothes on your back? The credibility damage is real and potentially lasting. American Riviera Orchard was supposed to be Meghan's Goop moment, her chance to build a lifestyle empire that could rival what Gwyneth Paltrow created. But Goop succeeded, controversial as it is, because Gwyneth maintained a certain level of aspirational authenticity. People might mock the prices, but they don't question whether she's fundamentally dishonest. With Meghan, Dressgate added to this growing perception that everything about her brand is performative. The charity work that's really content creation, the cooking videos that violate food safety rules, the designer clothes that might not have been properly acquired. When your entire business model is selling authenticity and lifestyle expertise, these kinds of controversies are absolutely fatal to consumer trust. The broader industry implications are fascinating to watch unfold. Fashion PR teams are now implementing even stricter protocols about loaned items for photo shoots. Contracts are getting more detailed, documentation is getting more thorough. Some designers are becoming more selective about which celebrities they'll work with, knowing that any controversy could reflect badly on their brand. and stylists are sharing warnings in private professional groups about which clients require extra careful paper trails. Meghan might not have intended to change how the fashion industry operates, but Dressgate is having exactly that effect. Her alleged actions created a cautionary tale that's making everyone more careful. What this story really exposed was the fundamental tension at the heart of Meghan's public persona. She wants the respect and admiration that comes with being a duchess and a humanitarian, but she also wants the freedom and profit that comes with being a commercial lifestyle influencer. She wants people to see her as relatable and down to earth. But she also wants to live in a $29 million mansion and charge $28 for jam. She wants privacy for her children, but she also wants to monetize family moments for her brand. These contradictions don't work. You can't be all things to all people. And Dressgate became the moment when all these contradictions collided in the most public, most embarrassing way possible. The final revelation that brings strange closure to this mess? That green Galvan dress is now forever associated with controversy rather than glamour. Meghan probably thought wearing it again for the Netflix promo was smart. Recycling a successful look, showing she's environmentally conscious, proving she has timeless style. Instead, she created a permanent link between that dress and accusations of theft. Every time someone sees that Netflix promotional image, they won't think elegant California lifestyle. They'll think, didn't she steal that? In trying to maximize the value of one designer piece, Meghan actually destroyed its value entirely. And maybe that's the perfect metaphor for what's happening with her entire brand. In grasping for everything, she's left holding nothing but expensive jam nobody wants to buy and questions nobody can seem to answer. That's what happens when you forget that credibility, once damaged, is almost impossible to rebuild, no matter how many Instagram posts you make or how many dresses you wear.